Hello everyone, welcome to the Northland Artist Conversation. My name is Mark Kelly. I am your host, your concierge, if you will, on this wonderful podcast that we do. It's been a minute. It's been good. So we're filming this near the end of February, and we've just had Artbeat 2024 in Whangarei. Amazing. What an absolutely amazing day it was. Friday, it was raining, overcast, didn't look good. And then Saturday just turned it on. In fact, the weather was so good, I got sunburnt quite badly. If you're watching this, you'll be able to see just how sunburnt my face is. It's quite red. Haven't actually been this sunburnt in quite some time. Look like a lobster roll. I digress. I'm going to flick to my camera now. Today's guest is Jason Povey, and man, so this was really, really cool. Editor Lee had booked him in and was like, you're coming in for a podcast. And he was like, okay. And isn't that right, Editor Lee?
It didn't quite go like that.
Oh, that's not what you told me. But no, so Jason's an ex-tutor of yours, is that right?
Yes, yeah, he used to teach me graphic design. Yeah.
Yep. And so Editor Lee got him in, and it was, really, really cool. We had so much in common. Like, I just couldn't believe it as he's talking. I'm like going, oh shit, I did that too. And then it's that, and I was like, oh, I did that as well. Even in the rapid fire, it was like, it's so weird. But just a cool guy with some really interesting concepts on art and printing. And if you watch the podcast, you'll actually see he has a few examples that he brings in. So I'm going to shut up now, and I'm going to let you guys enjoy this. Let's sit down and have a conversation with Jason Povey. I did the clap, and I did the Hamilton clap, and what that means is that we've just started. So we can go back to embarrassing Editor Lee if you like, which is what we were doing beforehand. Because now she'll be bright red, because this will be in the podcast as well. She'll be like, oh my god,
we need a camera on her.
We do. Well, I've got a webcam, but I've got a.
I'll just record on my phone. I'll just surreptitiously do it like this.
Hang on.
Why not?
There we go. And we're going to make a real difference. For those of you that don't know, Editor Lee just flipped off the bird, and she's now sending a love heart, because apparently this is as successful as a Taylor Swift concert.
Awesome.
Jason, thank you so much for coming.
Mark.
We should probably kick into this. Really, yeah.
If we want to get out of here before 12.
That's it. We could sit here for hours and take the piss out of Editor Lee.
We could.
Or we could actually do what we're here to do, and that's learn more about you.
Wow. I'm an open book, really.
Good.
Actually, I'm not.
You're not?
No.
Okay.
But that's okay. We'll get through it.
We will. So, welcome to the Northland Artist Conversation. Thank you very much for stopping by.
Well, you can thank Lee.
I'll thank Editor Lee.
Thank Editor Lee, because she was the one who wanted me to come on.
Yeah. I heard there was some peer pressure, and there was a little bit of blackmail and extortion.
Strong arm.
Yep. She said that what did she say? If you didn't come, she'd show the photos to the world. I don't know what that's about. She didn't tell me that.
She didn't tell me that.
Now freaking out, going, what the hell is he saying? But that's okay. So look, it's really cool to have you here. Now I've got to make sure I remember this correctly. You are a designer, ex-Calders.
Ex-Calders, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we've had Sandeep on here.
Oh, you've had Sandeep on. Okay. Yeah.
Man, what a great conversation.
Yeah.
He was late last year, and actually I caught up with him this year. Went to the office, and he kind of showed me Chandragarh. It's his home city.
All right.
You have to remember how to pronounce that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very cool. So this is interesting.
Yeah.
That you're obviously no longer with Calders.
That's right.
So I guess the first question I want to ask everyone, or ask you, is what are your thoughts on Palestine? No, I'm kidding. It's non-political.
Yeah, after all this, we don't tackle politics.
We don't talk politics. Don't talk religion.
Okay. Yeah.
No. So, what would you say is your main creative expression?
Man, I'm kind of all over the place at the moment, and I've been taking long walks, at night, going, what's my direction? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the stuff that I enjoy the most is probably my satire.
Right.
Trying to be funny. I say trying to be funny because satire doesn't always have to be funny, but so that stuff that makes people laugh.
Yeah.
That's what I sort of want to head towards. But there's I do printmaking and stuff as well.
Okay.
So and which that's the work that I sold on Saturday was
Right.
my printmaking stuff that I did when I was a third year student at North Tech.
Oh wow! Now, for those of you that aren't aware, we're filming this just after Artbeat. Which was the 24th of Feb, Saturday. Huge success.
It was.
Huge success. So many people.
If the amount of people was any measure of success, then it was like off the charts.
Absolutely. I mean, myself and producer Andrew were there for 4 hours, and just a lot of people we hadn't caught up with in quite a while. A lot of people we'd wanted to catch up with. And a lot of people that were kind of like, oh, you're that guy. Yeah, I'm the guy that doesn't know shit.
Yeah.
And ask dumb questions. It's like, oh, they're not dumb. It's like, no. And then producer Andrew would go, no, they are dumb. He asked what paper clay is. It's just clay with paper in it. I asked that question. Go figure. Wendy, thank you for entertaining me. So how successful was Saturday for you?
It was successful in that I got to see a lot of people that I hadn't seen in a while.
Nice.
Like, funnily enough, and network with people that I've never met before.
Yeah.
Like the woman at the stall next to us, she's South African. She lives on a boat and she does printmaking.
Wow.
And so it was kind of we were just like having a look at each other's stuff. And she's really good. And because I like an automated process when it comes to making a woodblock print.
Right. Okay.
I like putting it on the. We can talk about my laser cutter later, but so I like designing something on the computer.
Yeah.
Putting it to the laser cutter, just etch it with the laser cutter, and then using that as the matrix to do my printmaking.
Okay.
She on the other hand loved the process of cutting.
That actual hand labor.
hand
Wow.
chiseling.
Yeah,
and
man.
I can't stand. I hate that process. It's like, oh my god, if I could make this, I have to be even in front of the TV. I kind of go, just
Yeah.
like, oh,
How can I make
my
this more
hands are
efficient?
sore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I sort of automatically go to the laser cutter. It's like, yeah, okay, that's me. But I like the printing process.
Yeah.
I like that manual printing process.
Yeah, I was going to say because printing, it can be done. There's two main ways, right? You can do it with machines like just standard printing, but then you've got the other printing where it's like it's just layer on layer on layer type stuff. Yeah.
No, exactly. So there's like screen printing, woodblock printing,
Yeah.
and you put it in the press. Like screen printing, you actually have to like make screens and stuff like that. And that was quite an interesting thing. Although I think I preferred the woodblock printing, just printing with a woodblock, because the screen printing process was like all about pressure.
Yeah.
Like you putting the pressure on with your hands, as is with woodblock printing, you're applying the pressure with the press or the barren and stuff like that.
Of course.
So it's a different sort of pressure, but it's all about pressure.
Okay.
Printing,
It's all art's about pressure.
It's all about pressure. It's all about pressure. Yeah, pressure to earn some money. That's basically what it is. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and we can talk about that later. But I always love chatting with artists around. Is it something they want to turn into like a full-time job? Is it something they want to keep as a hobby? Because there's two schools of thought. Do something you love as your job, and you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
But then after a period of time, the thing that you loved becomes the job that you end up hating, and it's just a tough one.
I mean, ultimately, that's the ultimate dream.
Yeah.
I'd love to just be able to like bang out lots of prints, or there's this other process we can talk about as well, which is risograph printing, and so it's like an automated screen printing process.
Right.
Basically,
Okay.
it's on a duplicator. It was like a machine that was invented in the 60s.
Oh wow.
And so I've got a few pieces of work that I can show you
Yep.
that are done on a risograph machine. So basically, sort of, you layer colors on top of each other, and it
Nice.
and they make different colors
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So
That'll be cool.
and it's a kind of a process I really want to get into, and I really want to buy a machine, but nowhere in New Zealand can you do A2.
All right, so you got A4 standard size
A4
paper,
standard, yeah. And then A3 is basically twice as big,
and then A2 is
A2
like
is-
four
there's like-
A4s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, exactly. So, but you can't find a secondhand A2 risograph
Oh, wow.
machine anywhere in New Zealand, that's for sure.
I imagine
But,
that'd be pretty rare.
I'd say so, yeah. I mean, they made it for a while, and I don't think they make them anymore,
Oh,
that size machine.
so you really got to
But there is
one.
there's a place in Melbourne which has one, but they don't like export. Can't give them the file, and they send it over here because of the nature of you've got to really order about 50.
Oh,
copies.
right, you're right. So it's a volume thing
Yes,
as well.
it is
Yeah.
a volume thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back a bit.
Artbeat.
No.
Oh, okay. No,
Let's
we're
go
not going.
back
Okay.
a bit further
Oh,
than that.
okay.
Um,
Right. Okay.
Now, when you were a kid, were you naturally creative? Were you one of those kids that would, just draw or do shit? Or were you one of those academic kids? Or were you a pain in the ass?
I was definitely.
like I was.
I was definitely not academic. I can tell you that.
Okay.
That kind of became that happened later. Actually, a lot later.
The
I think
academia?
the academia.
Oh, wow.
Academia. I was not good at school. But then a lot of people aren't. A lot of people aren't good at high school.
Yeah.
It has a lot of factors have to do with that. So,
Yep.
but yes, I've always been creative. I used to always have to make birthday cards for Nana and Papa, and
Oh,
all
wow.
that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We never bought I don't think we ever bought a birthday card for the first 12 years of my life.
Because you'd make them.
I had to make them all the time.
You'd
Yeah.
have to or want to.
No, I would want. I mean, basically, sort of like I would copy. So how I learnt how to draw
Yeah.
was that I would copy things out of comic books. I would just copy
Okay.
drawings,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I'd copy them, and that's perfect replication of that picture or whatever.
Okay. So who were you replicating?
I just I would draw out of probably. We used to get these comic books called they were English comics actually. So Eagle and Tiger magazine.
Yes, I had an Eagle
Okay,
one.
you had
I had
Eagle?
the book.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So
annual that came out, yeah.
the annual. So Eagle amalgamated with Tiger magazine.
Oh, right.
Both magazines at
Yeah.
some stage.
Yeah.
So I think I used to get Eagle, and then they merged with Tiger, so it was Eagle and Tiger.
Oh, wow.
And they had cereals in them. So
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
you'd get Roy of the Rovers, and you'd
Yep.
get Billy's Boots, and you'd get there's this guy who had like half his face was burnt off. It was like, but he was a really good guy,
Don't remember that one.
And so I used to have to. Well, I used to draw out of those. I
Yeah.
used to copy the pictures out of those.
Would you trace and then
No,
kind of go
no.
from there? Or would you just like freehand copy?
I have freehand copy.
Wow.
Always freehand copy. So yeah.
Far out. That's an amazing
So
skill.
I could have been a forger in another life, I reckon. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I would have gone with Illustrator, but
Yeah.
Forger also
Forger,
works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd love to have a Picasso just
yeah.
hanging there.
yeah. I get it. Yeah, Picasso is probably quite easy to actually recreate. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you were copying
Yeah, I would just copy stuff, and
Yeah.
there was other ones. There was Whizzer and Chips.
Yes, I remember Whizzer and Chips. Yeah.
and Whoopi. I
Yeah.
think was another one.
Yeah.
That did the English comics that used to come in.
Yeah,
I
Beano, Dandy.
Yeah, Beano. Yeah, I've got Dandy annuals in.
Oh, wow.
In the cupboard still, actually.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so all these English,
Yeah.
quirky English magazines that not everybody's heard of.
No,
so
no.
you're probably the first person I know that but we're of a similar sort of era, you know.
We are, we're definitely sort of around that similar age,
Yeah.
which is mid-30s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Leanne's laughing at us right
Editor
now.
Lee is trying not to piss herself with laughter too much. So you
Late 30s?
yeah, mid I said mid to late 30s.
Early 40s? Okay.
No, don't say sure unless you're talking to the microphone,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
turn your mic on and then contribute. But if you're not going to, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
She's gonna give me the fingers again soon. So you're doing the replication and you're doing these cards, and are you doing that like all the way up until high school or intermediate?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I used to love lettering books. I don't know if anyone.
You copy the stencil book.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I'd hand draw all of the letters out of there, and
I
stuff
could
like
never
that.
do that.
I used to like rule the lines because like my favorite one, I had the speedball one, and so speedball was when you use the inks and the pens, the pens.
Yep.
But I used to just hand draw them. I never used to use the ink pens, because I found so I used to hand draw the things. I'd draw the lines. I was very meticulous. It was like I should have been a draftsman or something because I was very, very meticulous about my letters and stuff like that.
We'll get to that a bit later because that was an interesting question I had when we were talking beforehand.
Right, yeah.
So you get through college, high school. Are you one of the popular kids? One of the arty?
God no,
kids?
I was.
Or
Yeah,
one of the...
I was one of those middle. You had the in crowd.
Yes.
I wasn't one of the in crowd. We did hang out with the in crowd sometimes.
Yeah.
So I was on the next. I was in the next one.
The
I wasn't
tier
in
down.
I wasn't. Yeah, the tier down. So I wasn't in the complete geeks.
The Reges.
Kind of the Reges or whatever. I mean,
I don't know if you could say that.
I don't know. We can't really. But I told you I wasn't very PC.
Exactly.
But I was definitely not in the in crowd either. So I was on in that middle bit.
Yeah. Sporty at all?
Yeah. I've been sporty all my life.
What were you playing in high school?
Soccer.
Oh, right.
Soccer. Yep.
So did I, funnily enough.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I did soccer from primary all the way through to high school. Realised that I wasn't as crash old as I thought I was. Took up badminton.
Oh, I took up badminton too. Funnily enough, there's an interesting story about that. So I at one stage I had to make a choice between the reps for soccer and the reps for badminton.
Yeah.
And so I decided that I like soccer better. So it was the reps for soccer.
I went reps for badminton.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. I wasn't, so in my school I was kind of the third best goalie. That was my position.
Yeah.
The guy that was the first ended up representing New Zealand. So I was like, I'm not going to knock that.
That's not too bad.
It's a skill and a
Being
half.
third behind him can't be too bad.
It's like Ross Nicholson.
Yeah.
If you're ever watching this, and you're probably not, I know you live in Auckland, and he works in design, funnily enough.
Oh, right.
You're still the man.
Yeah,
So after high school, where do you sort of go to from that point? Do you have like the gap years? Do you jump straight into study?
I didn't have a gap year. And on reflection, I should have had a gap year.
Oh, okay.
Because I was 17. I was one of these. I was always 8 months younger than everybody in my class.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
I was born in March, so I never got held back like a lot of people.
Yeah.
So basically, everyone was turning 18 in the year that I turned 17.
Yeah. Wow.
And so when I went to uni, I was 17.
Yeah,
and I was just too young, and but it was kind of like I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I hadn't really developed my artwork that much.
Okay.
So I was like, oh well, what am I going to do? Oh, I'll just stay at uni because I was going to do architecture intermediate. I did my architecture intermediate year, which basically you go to uni, do a whole lot of BA papers or whatever, and submit a portfolio.
Right.
So my portfolio was pretty good.
Yeah.
My marks were not pretty good.
Where
average marks.
I was going to say, where's the disconnect there? If you're drawing well and you're getting good marks there, why?
Well, I mean, all you had to do was just basically draw buildings, like hand sketch buildings and stuff like that, and submit it as a portfolio. But the marks, I wasn't smart enough.
Was it like a lot of bookwork and stuff?
Well, I had to do. I took maths, which is one of the ones you had to take was maths.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really very good at maths.
Oh, okay.
Throughout school, I wasn't good at maths and stuff like that.
Yeah, look, I mean, I was not bad at maths, but I'll be honest, I don't really use tangent or cosine in my daily life. I don't know many people that do, to be fair.
Funnily enough, that's the stuff I could
Is
do
that the
really
stuff you
well.
got?
That's the stuff I was good at. It's like calculus and stuff like that, which I just straight up.
Yeah.
And ironically, my son is really, really good at maths.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So he's just finished his first year at North Tech doing the engineering course, and he was taking the hard maths class.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Wow.
Like, he got like first in maths in high school. At Carmel
wow.
High, so
Yeah, that's
So
amazing.
he's quite. I don't know where he doesn't get it from me, that's for sure. So he probably gets it from his mother, but
who knows? So you did your first year of architecture.
Yeah.
Why didn't you move to drafting?
Again, one of those hindsight things that you think. I was actually tossing up between drafting. Like, so when I eventually when I dropped out of university, basically, so did the big Steve Jobs. Only didn't become as successful as Steve Jobs, obviously.
More hair.
Yeah, more hair than him, and
he's obviously dead now.
Yes,
so.
exactly. So I'm successful in that. I'm
Exactly.
alive. So
you're alive.
So I'm pretty successful in that respect. But so basically, I dropped out and I came back here, and it was like, okay, what am I going to do? And so I was tossing up between the architecture course and the applied arts course.
Oh,
and in the end, I decided to do the applied arts course because I was kind of like maybe a bit more interested in that. But, now I'm quite interested in architecture. So,
it's funny how it comes in swings and roundabouts,
yeah. But I did the arts course, the applied arts course.
Yeah.
I did finish that one though. So, I didn't drop out of that one. Success. So I got my diploma in applied arts.
Nice. What was with applied arts, were there sort of areas that you focused on in particular?
Yeah, well, so back then the course was structured a lot differently than it was.
Yeah, it's a lot different now.
Guys.
Yeah.
And so basically we went in and we did, you did all the core subjects like drawing and all those sorts of things, but there were three main subjects. You had photography, you had graphic design, and you had video.
Yep.
And so way it was structured is you drop one each year. So basically, sort of after the first year, you did all three.
Yeah.
Next year, I dropped one, and I dropped photography.
Okay.
Sorry, Ali, because Ali became one of my peers, like one of my fellow tutors.
Yeah.
When I started teaching at North Tech. So I dropped photography first, and then I dropped video. Sorry, Louine. And she was my tutor then, and then sort of continued on with graphic design.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, graphic design was a lot different then too. Like
we
only just started using the computers.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had a computer suite of 3 computers, which weren't even where we were being taught. We had to go to a separate computer room somewhere with 3 computers in them, which were I don't know, 4 gig of RAM or something stupid like. Well, no, actually 4 megabytes of RAM. I would say.
State of the art back then.
Yeah, state of the art. We're talking 19.
Well, no, that's what happens when you're in the
1995,
late 30s.
right? Yeah, exactly. 1995. We're talking, right? She's starting to fall asleep now.
She is.
Yeah,
she's over.
And so we had these and one of them was always being used by AJ, who was rendering 3D stuff.
Wow.
So basically and it would take hours. Like he would render, like say for instance, a ball bouncing, which now I was teaching that at level 4.
Yeah.
This bouncing ball, which basically took, 24 hours to render or something like that back then. It was like ridiculous. And he was always, so there was 2 computers. So there were 3 computers, but only 2 of them could be used by us plebeians. It's like, what the heck? So very different back then. And it was when I started working at Pre-Press Studio first, and then Calder's. We started using proper programs all the time.
Yeah, nice.
Because we had PageMaker at North Tech. It was Northland Polytech then. PageMaker, I don't know if you've ever heard of PageMaker.
I have heard of PageMaker.
It was a precursor to InDesign.
Yeah.
But I didn't use InDesign at Calder's. We used
Corel?
No. Oh, I've got this prejudice against Corel. Because Sandeep would hate me for this because when Sandeep went over to India for his daughter's wedding, I think I had to go into his Corel files because a couple of his clients came in. I had to try and decipher it, but I don't use the program. So, it's a lot harder when you don't use. So we used at Prepress Studio. We actually used freehand. Macromedia freehand.
Yeah,
it was it's not really a page layout program, but that's all they had. And we used freehand, but freehand's like more of a logo design. A drawing type one.
Yeah.
And we used Quark Express, which is a page layout program.
Okay.
Much like InDesign. It was only much later on that I started using InDesign, mainly because a client came in and said I had to take about her files and do stuff with her files.
Right.
So basically, I had to.
It kind of forces the change.
Well,
right?
it was. It forced the change. So basically, what I did was I in 2 days, I had to teach myself everything. Everything about InDesign that I knew how to do in Quark Express. So
right.
That was a fun 16, 18 hours.
Yeah, and it's still like that nowadays.
Yeah.
If you got to learn anything. So you're out of uni. You've got your degree in applied arts.
No, diploma in applied arts. Yeah.
Okay. Where are you living? Are you living in Whangarei? Are you in Dunedin? Are you in Auckland? Wellington?
No, because when I went to uni, I was in uni in Dunedin.
Dunedin, yep.
So I was there for basically sort of 3 years, on and off. Then just moved back here.
Right.
Because I didn't really... And funnily enough, I actually applied to Teachers College up here.
Oh, right.
After that, but I was shortlisted. They only let 15 people in the campus up here.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I didn't really want to travel away again.
Yeah.
It was too expensive to travel away. I didn't really want to. So I just thought, I'll apply up here. But I got shortlisted, but never. 5 minutes. Oh, shit. We've been talking that long.
It's hard to believe, eh?
It is hard to believe. And so basically, sort of ended up. What was I going to say? I've been thrown now.
Did you look at the courses that were available at Northland Polytech and go?
Yeah, I did basically. But because I was only shortlisted for Teachers College up here.
Yeah.
And like I say, I didn't want to travel. If I wanted to travel away, I would have got into Teachers College. It's fine. But up here, they didn't. So it was kind of like, oh, okay. Look at the courses at Northland Polytech and go, well, there's the applied arts course, which I'm good at, and there's the drafting, which I don't know because I've never done it before,
Right.
But I was really good at tech drawing at school, so.
Love tech drawing.
Yeah, I love tech drawing. I got 96% in an exam once.
Shit, that's good.
At high school, at Karma High, so yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, old Karma High.
Karma High.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I got 92%. We had to do, one of the things was we had to do draw a flat pack cat box.
Oh, all right, okay.
We had to have all the measurements and folds and stuff like that. I was the only one in the school that had drawn holes.
Oh,
for the cat to breathe.
Oh, God, that's nice. Yeah.
Apparently,
a whole lot of dead cats out there.
Yeah, apparently it was okay for kids to kill cats, not in practice.
Yeah,
just on paper.
No, not at all, yeah.
So you get your diploma, and then what do? Where do you go? It's kind of like you've done all your schooling. Where are you off to next?
Well, I did actually apply for jobs all around the country.
Oh, wow, okay.
I did, it was kind of like I was looking in the Herald and looking in that. So I applied for some in Auckland.
Yeah.
Some in Christchurch, I think. But eventually, I was getting nothing. I was getting some replies back once I changed my CV to something a bit more funky.
Right, yeah.
Because I had a standard CV, it didn't really work. So I changed it to something more funky, got some replies back, but they were negative replies, but they were kind of like, okay, yeah, I was just looking for someone with more experience. That's all right.
Right, yep.
So, but then, I worked at Video Easy
Yes, man, I did my time with Video Easy as well.
I worked
So
at Video
good.
Easy for a while.
Video Sleazy.
Which fed my Video Sleazy, yeah. Which fed my love of movies, of course.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I just would get no sleep there because I'd lock up. And then go home and watch movies and stuff like that because you're wired. You can't go to sleep straight away.
No,
you just can't do it.
No, 10 o'clock at night, you're going, man, I need to unwind.
Yeah.
I think 2 films are going to help me do that.
Yeah,
It's going to kill
exactly.
3 hours of my time.
Or the other one was, people would bring in the games and say it stopped at this time, and so you basically had to sort of try and
go home
play
and
the game,
demo it.
You have to demo the game for I don't know how long.
Yeah. That was always a hardship.
Yeah, exactly. Jesus. Yeah, no, that was all right. So that was all right. And then I got a job at Pre-Press Studio, which is a local design firm. And there was a couple of people there who worked there that had been through Northland Polytech, Albie, who's a teacher at Karma High now, and David Luck, who was working for Job for a while. So, but yeah, they were there. They was there as well. So.
It's interesting. How long were you at Video Easy for?
I was really only there for let's say a couple of years. So what I did was I kept working at Video Easy. I just pared my hours back while I was working at Pre-Press.
Oh yeah.
But so basically at Pre-Press Studio it was a case of last in first out. So after that I went back to Video Easy again for another sort of maybe 8 months, I think.
Was there did the business shut down or restructure or get bought out?
They kind of just they actually ended up moving to Paihia. They ended up, sort of they downsized quite considerably, moved to Paihia.
Okay.
And but it was all right. I was kind of like, okay, well that was good experience,
Yeah.
And then I'd applied. Once I'd finished there, a job came up at Coolers. It was in the paper, so I applied for it. That's cool. Didn't hear a dicky bird for
weeks,
months.
Oh shit!
Months.
Wow.
Months. So I'd just go back to Video Easy full time. So basically, and my record, I had the record for quite some time. I worked 27 days in a row.
Damn.
27 days in a row. Couple of those days were like only 4-hour shifts, but it was like
still counts
because like Elaine always used to like the guys to lock up. Because it was on Vine Street, and it was a bit rough. Sometimes.
Okay, I know the one. Yeah,
it was a bit rough on Friday and Saturday night. Sometimes they spill out of the nightclubs or whatever.
Yes.
So the guys had to lock up, and so 27 days in a row was the record for a while until it was beaten by somebody who did 28, I think he did. It was only a day more. Yeah.
Just out of spite.
He did it on purpose. He did do it on purpose. I know he did it on purpose.
What a wanker.
But yeah, so basically sort of I went back there, and then out of the blue, literally 4 months after I applied for it, somebody from Coolers rings me up and says, "Oh, do you want to come in for an interview? Are you still looking for something?" I said, "Oh yeah, I'll come in."
Wow.
Whatever. So yeah.
Months later.
It was 4 months later at least.
Wow.
I think. I'm pretty sure it was like later on in the year.
Yeah.
And so so that it'll move pretty quick after that actually.
So how long were you at Calder's for, and what was your kind of job? And were you still doing Video Easy?
I did do Video Easy for a little while until my son was born.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, sort of, I worked. She had a store in Carmo.
Yes.
And I worked at that store for just a couple of nights a week
while
I was at Calder's for a little while, and then once my son was born, it was like, oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to do all this. So
Yeah, something's got to give.
Yeah, exactly. So I was at Calder's for the next 22 years.
Whoa.
I would say I'm one of these people who sort of if you get into a sort of a thing. It was only really kind of like, oh, okay, this would be a good job to do temporarily while I'm doing my own stuff, but no such luck. You don't get to do your own stuff when you're working.
Yeah, no.
I've told Leanne that before too.
So, what was your main job that you were doing there?
I was a graphic designer, so basically sort of like, I mean, anything from business cards to brochures to, in fact, funnily enough, my first job my first proper job at Coolers was a 180-page catalog for Arnold Franks. And
Oh,
I'd
shit. Wow.
I'd never used Quark Express before, so basically I was driving the boss mad just asking him questions about
Yeah,
this, that,
yeah,
and
yeah.
everything. And I had to format all the pictures, but back then they were like, this is 1998, so we're talking little teeny weeny pictures, like
Yeah.
taken with a digital, I think an early digital camera at the time, or
Man,
something like that.
so
So pixelated, so horrible, but they didn't need to be very big.
98, man, that would have been... So around that time you had the Sony Mavic, which recorded onto a floppy disk.
Right, yeah.
Or Mavica, sorry.
Yeah.
And then I think about 3 or 4 years after that, Canon released their PowerShot A10 and A20, which were a glorious 1.3 and 2.1 megapixels.
Yeah. We were still loading things with floppy disks.
Yeah.
1.4 megabytes
Yeah.
of data.
Oh.
A glorious 1.4 megabytes of data.
Cutting edge.
we Photoshop was basically, it had, I don't know how many disks it was.
Yeah.
It was like a pile of disks.
Yeah. Please
of
insert
these-
12 discs.
Yeah, please insert the disc. And then it would ask you to insert the next disc
Yeah.
and the next disc and the
Yeah.
next disc. But Gary, my boss there, Gary was always really good at doing things properly. So, if you had X amount of designers, then you bought X amount of copies of Quark Express and stuff like that,
Yeah.
He was always really careful about doing that. So, so it's not, he didn't use any, he wouldn't have any truck with any pirated programs and stuff like that.
There wasn't much around that time.
Yeah. So we had like copies of Photoshop and copies of Freehand and copies of Quark Express.
Wow. Okay, so 22 years. Are you still... So you're doing the graphic design thing. You're being a dad.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything creatively of your own during that time?
I periodically did. I would stay at work sometimes and, use the facilities so I could... Maybe I would... I designed a game in that time, so it's somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah.
Which I've still got. It was a golf game. It was like a board game, but it was a golf game. I designed it to be screen printed onto felt, like grass,
Yes.
so
So
it would roll up, and so I designed this game, and I did, but there wasn't a lot of creative output, like my own creative output.
Yeah.
I mean, most of my creative output was designs. I did enter a few competitions while I was there, and that's cool. I've got sort of examples of that.
Let's have a look.
Oh, right.
This is the interactive portion of the podcast.
Oh, right, yeah.
For those of you that are watching,
you're
you're going to be in for a bit of a treat.
Okay.
Jason's got a magazine with a few.
Yes. This is my one of my 15 minutes of fame.
Throw it up to your camera. The Pro Design 100.
Yes.
NZ, what does it say? Hello, issue 100, thoughts on the future. Very nice.
Yes.
Cool.
So basically, sort of BJ Ball, which is a paper company.
Yep.
So print companies often use paper companies. They would go to them all the time, and they back in the heyday of these places, they used to have competitions and stuff. And I entered this. Basically, you had to make a skin for a bot, like it was a paper bot. Basically,
right,
and you had to make a skin for it. So basically, sort of, I did this, and this was popular votes. So basically, you got in here, you had to go online and vote for your favorite one. Oh, shivers, okay, where are we? Here we go. Sorry, I got the wrong page there. So basically, so my one's down the bottom. It's the cow.
Is it the cow?
So I called it. It was the cow bot. So
let me grab that off you.
Oh, you can.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
And I will throw it up in my camera.
Oh, yeah, okay. So basically, sort of, it was popular vote. So basically, just people went and voted.
Just there, everyone.
So it was like, okay, how many people do you know? And I got a few people to vote for my one, but obviously the ketchup or the tomato sauce got the most votes. But BJ Ball decided to use my cowbot as their entry into Pride and Print Awards that year.
Yeah.
And it won first place in the Pride and Print Awards.
Really?
Yeah. So it was pretty kind of cool. Okay, I got like fourth here.
Yeah.
I won an iPod. Funnily enough, I won an early iPod.
Man, for those of you that don't know and are too young, an iPod was a audio digital music device. Not too dissimilar from an iPhone. Definitely a precursor.
Yeah, definitely a precursor to the iPhone. But yeah, so I won an iPod, got 4th place in that, but we got 1st place in the Pride and Print Awards.
That's funny.
It was really cool.
That is hilarious.
That's my 15 minutes of fame. Not that really in pro, but being in pro design was a pretty...
Yeah, that's a big thing, right?
Awesome. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I was kind of like, oh, I'm in pro design? That's cool.
I think, when you're an artist and, you work at your craft, when you're mentioned or noticed in, nowadays it'd be like a website or anything like that, where you're amongst peers and people you respect, especially magazine, was a big deal.
Pro design
Huge
was a massive deal.
Yeah,
it was really good. You sort of, okay, I'm up here now. That's really cool.
Yeah, and then you started charging more at work.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
national recognition. Start asking for more.
I had no control over that whatsoever. Unfortunately. I just got my little, my wage, and that was it.
Life goes on,
and you work for the man, and it's kind of like, okay. Sometimes you think there must be more to life than that, right?
Right.
And then and things started getting a little bit quiet at work, shall we say? A lot of our big clients kind of like disassembled their companies and stuff like that. So you're talking Destination Northland was a big client of mine.
Yeah.
We used to put together you visited, like, they had 200 advertisers in this Destination Northland catalogue.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah, I remember those.
And so I used to put those together. But
wow.
Destination Northland sort of became no more. So, there's a massive client.
Yeah.
Your $120,000 a year client just goes bye-bye, and stuff like that. So, and that happened like a few times with big clients.
Yeah.
So I got put onto contract eventually, and then the opportunity came up to teach or to apply for a job at Northtec.
Right.
It was kind of like, and Ali, who was one of my tutors at Tech, and she goes, oh yeah, you should apply for it, because you could do the graphic design side, somebody else could do the animation side, because I hadn't done much animation by then, but I ended up actually teaching level 4 animation.
Oh wow!
To the certificate class.
Yeah,
which is great, because we used to get the high school students coming. So it was like the high school students would come to us and they'd do all sorts of stuff, but we'd just do like animation and stuff on Fridays, which is really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So is that you sort of saying, "Damn the man"?
Yeah,
this
ultimately it wasn't as much money, of course, but it was infinitely more fun. You're in this constantly changing creative environment.
Yeah.
There's all these people coming through, lots and lots of different people coming through, all with different ideas, all with different skill sets and stuff like that. And it was like this fantastic environment. So,
how long were you? Now, was it Northland Polytech or Northtec by that point?
Northtec by that point.
Okay.
It became Northtec fairly soon after I had left in '96, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How long were you a tutor there for?
About 7 years, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. I only taught 1 day a week to begin with, so I was still at Calder's at that stage.
Right. Okay.
Teaching 1 day a week, and then the opportunity came up to do 2 days a week. Teaching first year graphics and second year graphics. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. And then I eventually sort of became technician as well, sort of which is tutor support basically. So
right, okay, yep.
And so some of the technical stuff I'd have to take care of, because the other tutors didn't really necessarily know how to do it. Yep. Some of them did, but especially the digital tutors, of course, they knew what to do.
Yeah.
But the other ones, the printmaking tutors, they didn't really know what to do. So it was all right. So I was just like tutor support as technician. So
okay.
So I had 2 jobs there.
So what made you leave, and does that bring us up to where you are now?
I suppose so. So what made me leave was that the numbers weren't great, and so they canned the course. Basically.
Yeah.
So the applied arts course got.
Was this before or after COVID?
I think COVID was kind of the nail in the coffin.
Right,
Because COVID put a stop to all the international students coming in.
Yeah, definitely.
So basically, you've got the international students. They paid 3 times as much as like a New Zealand student. So it's a lot of money.
Wow.
Yeah, three times as much. And so when you even if you're cutting 2 or 3 international students out, that's a lot of
huge
money,
chunk of coin. Yeah.
I just think, I mean, they'd been planning, the numbers were dwindling,
Right.
And obviously, and I don't want to step on any toes here, but obviously, if numbers aren't working, then you've got to do something about it.
Absolutely.
But I just say the powers that be. Nothing to do with within the arts course or any of my tutors or anything, but the powers above us,
the politicers,
decided that they didn't want to hear any of our suggestions.
Right.
There's lots of things they could have done. They could have done short courses. They could have done. There's a lot of things that they could have changed, but they just weren't interested in doing it. So eventually the course just gets canned, and so basically what happened was. I had the opportunity then because these guys were about to do their 3rd year.
Oh, yeah.
And since I only had a diploma, I thought, well, I may as well redo a 3rd year because I did do 3 years of a course. It just was only a diploma. So I just redid my 3rd year and got my BAA with these guys.
Wicked.
So it was really good because the dynamic changed and my students became my classmates. Yeah. Which was actually really cool.
That's quite cool.
It was really cool. It was like, sort of just you change that whole dynamic and sort of, but, I mean, we didn't really treat each other differently, did we? It was kind of the same. I just taught, I treated my classes that I was teaching more as my friends or peers anyway.
Nice. Yeah.
Kind of thought of myself more as a guide than anything else.
Yeah. Player coach.
Yeah, player coach. Yeah, exactly. Player coach.
Yeah.
Perfect way. Yeah.
So where are you now? Obviously, you're sitting in the podcast studio.
In limbo. I am in limbo now. No, okay. So basically, sort of like, I mean, I do apply for jobs, but only things that really interested me.
Yeah.
And I think my age plays against me at the moment because, people, they see, this guy's like early 50s. We don't want to hire him. We want someone, in their 20s that we don't have to pay quite as much and stuff like that.
Is cost effective.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I don't know. That's just speculation on my part. It could be any number of reasons. But I'm being quite clever with my cover letters. I applied for a librarian job. Which I didn't get, but I think they filled it internally. But I applied. My cover letter was done in the style of the Dewey Decimal System, just for a bit of fun.
That's brilliant.
Why not?
That's amazing. So, do you think that you are going to do like freelance design?
Well, I have done it. I have done a bit of freelance design so far. I've done a couple of logos. For Angela Rowe.
Angela Rowe, yep. Mermaid's Purse?
No.
Or just her?
Just her creative practice.
Yep.
I don't know if she talked about her creative practice thing, but I did the logo for that, and I did a logo for the Shutter Room, which I'm a member of.
Oh, nice.
Shutter Room, so that's a little bit of freelance work, and otherwise just trying to create my own artwork and stuff like that,
Thinking about where you are now and where you'd like to be, and because obviously, time's moving on, and you're getting close to 40.
Yeah, exactly. Late 30s.
Yeah, that's it. Where do you see yourself in a couple of years, like 3 to 5?
Interesting. Good. I have a couple of things. Murray, one of my fellow tutors, used to always say that you should leave tech with at least 5 years worth of work to do.
Right, okay.
That's what he used to say. So basically, sort of, you can't do everything at tech.
Yeah.
So just put it on the back burner, and you'll get to it eventually.
Yeah.
I think I went out of there with like 10 years worth of work to do.
Oh wow.
But But I have this thing that I've been doing a bit of research, and I think there's a market for bespoke A2 posters around. There's not a lot out there for bespoke ones. So bespoke artwork, like prints as opposed to original artwork. I mean, it's a prints of original artwork, but you sell your original artwork for quite a lot of money, but you can sell prints for like a decent amount of money, reasonable amount of money that people can afford.
Yeah.
And I think there's a market for that. And so I have this when I was teaching the students, we used to sort of do end of year things like calendars and stuff under the name Hey Studio. We had Hey Studio.
Oh yeah.
Used it a couple of times. It's just hey can be a greeting, or it can be an exclamation. It can be lots of different things. And that's why I sort of chose that name. And I was kind of thinking, I'd quite like to do Hey Studio, like I eventually get Hey Studio up and running as an actual studio, and have this like a stable of artists where they can keep their profits. I would take what I needed to for the printing and and the nuisance fee or whatever you want to call it, etc., etc. But the artists get to keep their profits, which I think is fair. It would be a good way for them to earn money passively. You
kind of go out and you source the artists, their artwork, basically, you promote it. You kind of keep it going through. You take the printing costs and then 10% or something like that.
Exactly. So that's kind of like where my head's at. That it's in its very early stages in here. At the moment, but it's something where I'd like to go, because I know all these amazing people who can do incredible things, incredible drawings and stuff like that. So I kind of I'd like to get, and a few of them are on board, or quite a few of them are on board, and they're kind of because it's no skin off their nose, because especially if you're selling through a website and stuff like that. Because it's like Artbeat. We went to Artbeat. It's hard to sell at places like that because people are, looking after kids. They're wandering about. They don't want to take something with them. A big piece of work with them, and so they're more likely to network with you and take your business card than they are to buy something.
Definitely.
So it's hard. Whereas if you're selling through a website or something, then you're selling passively, and I think there's definitely the potential to make more money, but it's not all about money. I mean, if I'd be doing a different job if I really wanted money, but that's sort of where I see. I'd quite like a print studio, do risograph printing or something like that. At the moment I get my risograph stuff printed in Auckland.
Okay,
I do a good job. But you have no control over it.
No QC, right?
It's just exactly. So you send the file away and you hope like hell.
Fingers crossed.
I've got an example.
Oh, go on. Let's have a look.
I've got an example.
Got another one
of something that a couple of examples actually.
Oh, cool.
Of Riso stuff, which I have done.
This will be cool.
Right.
So again, if you're watching this, you're going to be in for you're that guy.
I'm this guy. Yeah. Okay. So
I've seen.
Bizarrely,
these are awesome.
Those are just things. So here we go. Here's this is like a risograph print. You can have that. You can have that.
Lean across.
That's one of my first risograph prints.
So Whangarei Harbourboard, the Kraken. This is 4 of 10, 2021.
I was invited to be in an exhibition at Kiwi North.
Oh yeah.
And the
right up that side.
The theme was Whangarei buildings. Whangarei, and that has been since torn down, and the Hundavasa is where that building is now. So that was my play on that, and that this Kraken was coming out and destroying the building.
That's very cool.
Basically sort of, you've got this is a 2-color risograph print, so it's just orange and blue. Basically, that's all.
That's pretty cool. For those of you that are listening to this, it's a building that looks like it's resting on water, and big kraken or I guess octopus tentacles coming out and trying to drag it into the water.
Exactly.
Which is very cool.
So this is another risograph print. This one here. I don't know if you want to take that, but so basically this is my satirical mind coming out. My satire. This is just me making a sort of a. Trying to replicate a 1940s, sci-fi magazine type cover.
One of those pulp.
Yeah, but what I've done is I've actually enlarge the dot again. So basically, if like normal printing is made up of all these dots.
Yeah.
You know, if you look closely at that, I don't know.
really
Mark can look closely at
All
that.
right. So
And you can see, if you look closely at that, you can see the dots.
Oh yeah.
See the dots?
You can.
That's how CMY offset printing works. But you can't normally see the dots. So what I've done on that is I've deliberately retrograded the print process.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm gonna hang on. I'm gonna
okay.
throw.
Yeah.
Editor Lee, just tell me if we're picking this up nice and clearly.
You won't be able to see the dot.
Down. Okay, I'm getting the thumbs up there. How does that
Okay.
look? Yeah, it looks good. It's very, very cool. So I'll explain it to our listeners. It's like a pulp newspaper where you'd get it, and it's as you said, very much Lost in Space, sci-fi type stuff with some headlines including "It's raining cats and dogs," "Weird weather gets weirder," "Escape the crazy Earth weather, get your ass to Mars, book now, SpaceX Travel Co."
Did you see my thinly veiled Total Recall reference there?
Yeah. Well, it gets weirder.
Yeah. So
Get your
basically
ass to Mars.
the way offset printing works very quickly is that it works on CMYK printing. Okay.
Sorry, I'm just gonna have to read one now. We're off to see The Blizzard, the long-awaited sequel to An Inconvenient Truth.
So yeah. So now you've got this like little insight into my weird mind. Which you see, that's why I do it.
God.
And funnily enough, so when I had a big version of this on display at the Shutter Room for our exhibition, this old guy came in and he was like 75, easily 75, and he loved it.
Yeah.
And it's not even my target audience, but he just absolutely loved it. He was standing there cracking up, and I was like, well, that's why I did it. I mean, I didn't even want him to buy it. You know, it was kind of like,
that's gold.
That's just fantastic. Here's. No, so we getting ready.
We'll do Buzzy. We'll do Buzzy.
Okay. This is just my Buzzy Bee Beehive matches and the mash up with the Buzzy Bees.
Yeah,
you know, the
I
toy.
can see that one. That's so good.
You know.
Yeah, throw it up to your camera. That's your camera there. Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Throw it up.
Yes.
Maybe tilt it just so. Yep, a little bit more. Yep, there we go. We're getting the head nod. I don't see a thumbs up there. Actually, thank you very kindly. There we go.
Yes. So that back to this is sort of like I like to incorporate my sense of humour, however weird it may be, into my work. You know, that's the stuff I'm sort of most proud of, shall we say? You know.
So with all of this art, and you having talked early, like just very, briefly earlier, creating this and then being able to do prints, is it, and for the artist as well, is it? I just want to try to see if I can get my head around it. Is it like you have the one master copy that someone could buy as an original, but then you have these other prints that can be replicated off it?
I mean, that if you were doing like printmaking, yeah, sure.
Right.
Okay. On the whole, my most of my creation is, well, let's say 3/4 of my creation is probably digital.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And so I can pretty much do whatever I want with it. But like for risograph printing, which is like a 1960s technology.
Yeah.
And so basically sort of it's like a screen printing process but automated. So basically I order like 10 at a time.
Right,
general,
okay, yeah.
And so I will put, like on this one, it's like says 4 of 10.
4 of 10, yeah.
4 of 10. And sort of a lot of them are like that, and I probably won't do any more than that. But or I'll put on there if I want to do more. If it's really cool and I think I could sell 50 of these, I'll put one of 50.
Right.
Which means I can order the rest at a later date.
Yeah.
I probably only get 10 done at a time.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah. So I
that
wouldn't go any more than that.
That would be that passive income aspect, right?
Exactly.
You have your one master, and for people that have created the artwork, whether it be in a computer or by hand, they have that master that can be sold off as like a unique one-off, and then the reproductions. Is
Yeah,
that kind of or the limited edition prints?
Yeah, limited edition prints is where I would go with that. Yeah, limited edition prints. Yeah, so I mean, these are definitely because that was done specifically for an exhibition.
Yeah,
and I probably wouldn't sell any more of those. Like,
right,
I sold the original. Like the original was like I got one done which was A2.
Right, okay,
and eventually sold it. I didn't sell it during the exhibition. I sold it after, about 4 months after.
Oh, wow.
This woman rang me up out of the blue and said, "Have you still got that picture?" And I said, "Yeah."
Funnily enough.
Funnily enough. And of course, I didn't charge her the 20% that the gallery was
gallery would have charged. Yeah, right.
So she got it at a good price.
Yeah.
That's right. So.
Okay, so I'm gonna wrap up this podcast with, I guess, one final question. Being that you're not working at the moment, being that this is where you would like to head, is this somewhere where you're going to channel the majority of your focus and time?
Yeah, it has to be. Yes. So yeah, I mean, I've got these Tucker and Kai, which is like this cartoon I came up with so many years ago. It's not funny, but I'd really like to develop them into a proper like serial cartoon.
Yeah.
I'll just hold it up so you can see. This is the first one that I did.
How are we gonna get out, Kai? We're gonna fly out of here.
It's my answer to like Foot Rot Flats.
Yeah.
Foot Rot Flats was one of our quintessential pop culture icons, right? You know, and so I wanted to create these characters, so they'll be part of it. They'll be part of my whole ethos.
Yeah.
Eventually, you know. So and hopefully get them in sort of not necessarily in newspapers or whatever, because that's sort of gone by the board now. But as you know, there's lots of different sort of formats you can put them in.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
They can be on, you know, like semi-moving cartoons online and stuff like that. You know, there's lots of different things that you can do.
That is very cool. Well, look, I think Tucker and Kai is hilarious. It's so good. Very, very Kiwi as well.
Yeah.
And you haven't spelled it Tuck.
No.
Tukka, which is very, very cool. Look, Jason, thank you so much for coming in and sitting down with us. It's been an absolute blast. And I'm really looking forward to having you back on.
Ooh.
At a later stage. Yeah, well, we always invite guests back.
We might be able to do the quickfire questions then.
No. We do that afterwards.
Oh, right.
It's a separate piece.
Oh, it's a separate piece.
It's a separate piece.
Oh, far out.
So you've still got to live through that.
Oh, okay. That's okay. I can live through that. That's fine. Yeah.
So thank you very much for coming into the Northland Artist Conversation.
Hey, no
I really
problem.
do appreciate it.
My pleasure. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Well, there you go, everyone. That was Jason Povey. You know, it was interesting. You know, we talked beforehand, as we do with all our guests, and you know, he did a bit of acting as well, and he was telling me some really cool stories about when he was down at Otago University, and you know, him doing the graphic design and drawing and that sort of stuff, and you know, he's done quite a few different things, which is really cool, and you know, we either get the artists that are like razor focused on one thing, and they do that one thing incredibly well, or you get these multidisciplined artists that can do like a lot of things really, really well. And it's always good. We always have a mixture come in, and they're always super cool and super nice. Editor Lee, I have a question for you.
Yep.
Now, you obviously know Jason quite well, being the fact that he's your former tutor, but was there anything that you got the most out of the podcast?
I think it was just like when he was talking about his work, because he always he just loves talking about what he makes, and I think it's really important to him. Like, I appreciate how you reacted when you saw his work, because I feel like that gives him the confidence to want to continue, you know.
Yeah.
It makes him want to just keep doing it, and it's really cool to see. It's
funny because when he you know, he talked about his time doing a diploma of applied arts at Northland Polytech, now North Tech, and then he talked about his time with the two printing companies, the last one being Calder's. He was there for over 2 decades. But when he pulled those drawings out, they instantly reminded me of, when I was living in Auckland, and this would have been 20 to 25 years ago. Big A0 posters that are just kind of designed with that, how he does those little images. I just thought that was so cool.
Yeah, they are really cool.
And it's just such a great concept and design, and his sense of humor. Like you read, so when he pulled out the one that I held up, which had an image of Greta Thunberg on the front.
That's one of his latest.
You have to read it a couple of times to get all of the jokes, because there's a lot in there, and then you go, oh, there's one joke there, and then you realise that there's another layer to that joke.
Yeah, there's like a joke within the joke,
which is very, very cool.
Yeah.
So for me, that's probably the big thing. Oh, by the way, I've switched to my camera. That's probably the one thing I got out of it the most, was just the level of satire, and it's not that one level, there's kind of like another couple levels underneath. So where can you, the viewer or listener, find out more about our podcasts, and where can you get in touch with us on social media? I'm going to run through everything for you now. So for the the visuals, as producer Andrew would say, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. All Northland Artists Conversation. That'll be flashing up down there somewhere. For audio, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Now, I would normally say Google Podcasts, but Google is going to be taking Google Podcasts away, and it's going to be YouTube Podcasts. Once we know a bit more about that, we'll update the imagery to reflect that. But again, that is all Northland Artists Conversation as well. And if you're an artist and you would love to come in and have a chat, talk a little bit about what you do, or if you know someone that would be a great guest, we'd love to hear from you. We really would. This is one of those podcasts where we're always excited to find new talent in Northland. Please feel free to reach out to us. Our email address is hello@northlandartistconversation.co.nz. Nice and simple. We've tried to keep things relatively simple, so that way we're easy to find. If you just go to Google and type Northland Artist Conversation, there's like lots of different options. I'm going to flick to my wide camera now. It's an interesting time. We're filming this near the end of February. We've had a few improvements in the studio, which has been great. We've got some better lighting now, which is very, very cool. We've got some new shelving units as well, giving more space in the studio, which is actually great. We've had a few bits and pieces, like some of the boring stuff that's been done in the background. But we've also started going out and doing some work. We've had our first music video go out. Tihei Harawira. The song Close to Me. We were very, very proud to put that out. That's been launched, and that's done incredibly well for him. And we are super proud to have put some together for Tihei, and to have been able to deliver a really high quality video we're super excited about. There will be promos coming out for Sandbox 2024. Again, Editor Lee has put those together as well. They'll be due to drop very, very soon. We also did some filming for a new wrestling promotion as well. I love wrestling. My son loves wrestling. So yeah, it was good. We went down, we filmed there a couple weekends ago. Amazing. So there's a lot of cool things that we're doing and that we've got in the works at the moment, and we're really, really looking forward to sharing them with everyone. And it's just going to be one of those cool times. What have you got planned for the week there, Editor Lee? Anything exciting?
I kind of want to go see the new Dune movie.
Dune Part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do as well,
Yeah.
but I want to do it justice. I want to go see it at IMAX.
Oh yeah, IMAX, 100%. But
Yeah.
I just need someone to go with because I don't think my friends want to go.
Yeah, so that will probably be me in a fortnight's time. I will probably boost down because, I saw June 1 and lost my marbles. It was so good. June 2, also June Part 2 will be good. But yeah, look, hey, on behalf of everyone involved with the Northland Artist Conversation, thank you so much for sticking around, for checking us out. Make sure that you subscribe in any way possible. My name is Mark Kelly. I am your host and concierge. Thank you very much for joining us. We will see you guys real soon.